How do you build and keep a quality team that takes action every day to grow revenue? Today, I'm sharing 3 new, unprecedented steps that'll turn your entire team into a revenue-generating machine and stop costly turnover. What separates growing businesses that have built and maintained a high-quality team that's fully engaged and on board with the vision of their company from those that continue to struggle with a low-quality team that has little or no engagement, holding them back and causing expensive turnover? 3 easy steps that won't cost you a dime that can truly transform your business. And it's not AI, a new app, a viral campaign, or another worthless productivity hack. It's a mission. Not just a fluffy, cheesy, framed on the wall mission statement. I'm talking about a clear, focused, and actionable story that aligns your team and drives growth. Quick question. Does everyone on your team walk into the office and really understand the financial objectives of your business that drives it forward? Well, let's fix that. Mark Miller wrote a book called Talent Management. He defines the 3 things top talent is looking for in a job, and those 3 things are kind of surprising. Money's not on the list. A ping pong table in the break room is not there. Free cereal is not there either. Here are the 3 top things that talent wants. They want a better boss, they want a brighter future, and they want a bigger vision. If you can provide a better boss, a brighter future, and a bigger vision for the folks who work with you, you're going to attract much better talent, and you're going to keep them longer. Here's why this matters. Every person on your team wants to be part of a story that's bigger than themselves. They want to know that their role in that story matters. When you give your business a clear mission, one with direction, urgency, and purpose, your team becomes much more aligned, engaged, and productive. And guess what? Your business becomes more profitable. When it comes to leadership, I want to help you create a package of guiding principles that do several things. Align your team around 3 economic objectives. Define the characteristics of people that you need to have working with you, and define the repeatable actions necessary to hit those 3 critical objectives. So, you're going to have a mission statement with your economic objectives. You're going to have key characteristics of the sort of people that are necessary to accomplish this mission, and the critical actions your people are going to take in order to achieve those objectives. We call this package of guiding principles a business on a mission. By the way, I'm Tommy G. At Small Business Advisor Group, we help small businesses like yours optimize for revenue and profit. So if I can help you with any of this, just book in a call with me. There's a link to my calendar in the description. All right, let's dive in. Step 1. Craft a real mission statement that actually works. Most mission statements fail because they're vague, generic, or just not useful. Instead, we're going to build one with real traction using this formula. We will accomplish X by Y because of Z. X, your 3 clear, measurable economic objectives. Y, a deadline because urgency focuses the mind. And Z, the why, something bigger than just making money. For instance, helping people, solving a real problem, or righting a wrong. We will accomplish X by Y because of Z. Now, some of you will say, Tommy, we did this big 2-day retreat with our whole leadership team. It took us forever to write our mission statement. It was blood, sweat, and tears to write it, and so we're not changing it. Fantastic. Feel free to call this a goal statement. You can even use it as a revenue challenge statement, whatever you want. I like it as a mission statement. I really do think this is much better as a mission statement because it aligns the team around economic objectives. It puts a deadline on it, and it gives your team a reason why you're in this business in the first place. We'll get to that in a minute. What do I mean by we will accomplish X by Y because of Z? Well, X is your economic objectives. I want you to come up with 3 economic objectives and put them right there in your mission statement. Get together in your conference room and ask, how do we make money? Where is the money coming in from this business? I want you to take the top 3 ways that you're making money and consider them your 3 economic objectives. Now, I will give you one caveat on we will accomplish X. One of them does not necessarily have to be or need to be economic. It can be a lead generator or some sort of related key performance indicator that leads directly to revenue. So, you're going to reverse engineer what's in your mission statement. The problem with most mission statements is when you hear things like, we will increase customer satisfaction by performing with excellence. And those platitudes are so lovely, so nice, almost impossible to reverse engineer, and also impossible to be used as a filter, right? You're not sitting there going, well, we should do this because we said in our mission statement we would pursue customer excellence. No one has ever said that in the history of the world. Had that conversation, it has never happened. If something like that does happen, usually everyone in the room kind of feels good about it, and then they walk away and they can't remember it. You need to have numbers in your mission statement. You have numbers that you can measure whether or not you're accomplishing your mission. We will accomplish X by Y. Let's talk about Y and what by Y actually means. Well, we will accomplish X are 3 economic objectives. By Y is a deadline. You're going to place a deadline in your mission statement. You may say, Tommy, a deadline? I've never seen that in a mission statement. Well, you should. Now, large corporations, they write mission statements basically for investors, shareholders, the board of directors. Most often they're written by lawyers, to be honest with you. You're not a big corporation. Your mission statement can and should include a deadline as to when you are going to accomplish this mission. What happens when you include a deadline in your mission statement is urgency tends to go up, right? When you have this has to be accomplished by Y, urgency goes up. Anything outside of 2 years, the brain tends to think of it as something that can be put off. But if you say within 24 months from right now, we are going to accomplish these things, the brain tends to get to work. And not only that, but every month it goes down. 23, 22, 21, 20, right? We've got 18 months left to get this done. And then now we only have a year left. Wait until you get inside the 12 months. Urgency just goes up and up the closer you get. By the way, if you hit your numbers early, congratulations. Crack a local beer, raise your numbers, and get back after it. Don't overthink the deadline. It's just a matter of sticking a date no more than 24 months out. So, we will accomplish X, 3 economic objectives. By Y is your deadline. And then finally, we're going to get to because of Z. And because of Z is the Y, W-H-Y question mark of your business. It's the actual mission part of your mission statement. What do I mean by because of Z? What I mean is not everybody is driven by economic objectives. In fact, I would say most people, that's not their primary motivation. It probably is for you because you're an entrepreneur or small business owner if you're leading the company, but it's not true for everybody. Because of Z adds this element to your mission statement that makes it altruistic, makes it about serving the community, makes it about solving someone's problem, because otherwise you've just got these economic goals that ultimately may feel and potentially are a little bit selfish. Great relationships that people have with each other and people have with businesses are mutually beneficial, and that's what we're looking for. We're going to achieve these economic objectives by this point, and our customers are going to experience this. You add those mutually beneficial elements to your mission statement, and it's incredibly motivating. What you're going to get is your workforce is going to be focused on these economic objectives, motivated by the bottom line, and still customer-centric. Write a new mission statement or goal statement that helps you reverse engineer 3 economic objectives. This is going to align your team around getting these things done. Be ambitious but realistic. Keep your why deadline within 2 years. What can you get done within 2 years realistically, but also ambitiously? Realistically, but also ambitiously. If you do that, you're going to have a fantastic mission statement. All right, let's move on to the second step. Define the key characteristics of your team. To accomplish your objectives, you need to hire and work with the right people. Your business begins to grow when the right people make the right products and the right people buy them. Next, we'll cover how to define the key characteristics of the people you want to hire, whether that be team members or vendors you work with. Now that we know what our mission is, we can figure out what sort of people that we need to help us to do it. Your business begins to grow when the right people make the right products and the right people buy them. So upgrading your operation then is all about people. Now here's the truth. Some people will grow your business faster than others. You can pay the same employees $90,000 and get 10 times the return on your investment out of one person than out of another person. Why? Because some people will not align with you around the vision that you've cast for your company. They're just not going to get excited about it. They're not wired to do it. What if you could find and recruit the people who will align with your vision and help you accomplish your objectives so that you don't have a team full of people who really aren't with you on this journey? What if you already have a team? You could more clearly define the sort of characteristics you all need to develop if you are going to build a successful business. You've heard it said that you have to get the right people on board. But what does that mean? And how do you do it? If our business is focused on 3 economic objectives, then the people we need on our team are the people who have the characteristics necessary to accomplish those objectives. What many small businesses do in order to define the kind of people who need to be on board is they create their core values. I think core values are great. However, I personally don't think core values are defined enough. I don't think they are specific enough. The problem with core values is they are almost always vague. Values such as integrity and hard work and dependability. They're values that most every person believes they uphold. But what if we include core values and then got a little more specific about the characteristics our team members will need to have? So, in order to create guiding principles, we're actually going to define something called key characteristics. These are the key characteristics of the people that you need to hire, whether that be team members or vendors you work with. These are the aspirational characteristics that you and your team can transform into. So, to do this, take a look at the economic objectives that you included in your mission statement and ask yourself, what kind of people is it going to take in order to accomplish this mission? For instance, if you have a yacht maintenance company, you're going to need people who are able to do physical work for 8 hours plus every single day. It's just a key characteristic that you're looking for. If you run a marine insurance agency, you're going to need team members who are thorough and detail-oriented. Key characteristics necessary to accomplish your economic objectives is critical to building and developing your team. Now, of course, different departments may have different key characteristics. That's why, if appropriate, you can assign the guiding principles worksheet to every single department. Your tech department will be filled with people who are wired a little differently than your sales team. So it's perfectly fine for you to have different key characteristics for different departments as your business grows. For your overall guiding principles package, though, we're going to define 3 characteristics that every person in every department of your small business should have. The first step in defining your key characteristics is to brainstorm then all the characteristics you and your team members will need to have or that you need to develop in order to achieve radical success in your small business and hit those numbers in your mission statement. Brainstorm those key characteristics. Here's a great way to do it. If you have a team, get a clean whiteboard, write down 10 or 15 of them and circle the ones that you like. Vote for the best 3. The 3 votes that win, ship them to your guiding principles. All right, to wrap it up, let's move on to step 3. Identify 3 critical actions everyone can take daily. The last element of your guiding principles is going to put your team to work and help you make progress toward your goal of growing the revenue of your small business. Let's talk about critical actions. What are critical actions? So far, we've done a lot of dreaming about what your business can be. We've dreamed up a new mission statement, and we've included those economic objectives that are very aspirational. We've defined the key characteristics of the kind of people that you need to hire and the kind of people that you need to become. Now, let's take action. Nothing happens unless you take action. So let's define 3 critical actions nearly every person on your team can take nearly every day to help you achieve your economic objectives. The 2 rules for your critical actions are pretty simple. Number 1, if nearly every member of your team performed them every day, would you be more likely to grow the revenue of your small business? And number 2, can nearly every person on your team perform your critical actions? Let's say you've got a retail store, something like a marine and boat supplies. How much would your revenue increase if every team member asked every customer if they'd heard of the spring or summer boat package? If they just asked, "Did you know you can get everything you need to get your boat ready for spring in one order?" Your revenue is definitely going to increase if every member of the team tells people about this package they need but didn't know about until they took the simple but critical action of telling everyone about it. Now, critical actions don't always have to be centered around sales. I like them when they're centered around sales for obvious reasons. It increases your revenue. But they don't have to be. They can be branding exercises or customer experience improvements or even safety requirements. If part of your business involves the use of heavy machinery, like in a marina or a boatyard, where there is potential for employees to become injured and safety is a top priority, you want safety practices to be around your 3 critical actions. For instance, one of the critical actions of those working in your machine shop may be making sure every team member stops briefly every hour to clean and organize their workstation. That will improve productivity, morale, and safety, which of course in turn improves the bottom line. When you define 3 critical actions nearly every team member can take, you create a culture that has a bias towards action. When people take the same actions as the people around them, a culture gets created that revolves around rituals. Rituals, more than anything, creates a sense of identity, gives the person taking these actions a sense of tribal belonging, and it's going to really unify your team. Mostly, though, what we were doing when we define our critical actions is identifying the things you and your team can do to get the biggest possible return on your labor investment. For most small businesses, especially growing businesses, labor is by far the biggest investment. A labor force that is working together to improve the bottom line is going to make you a lot more money than labor that is wandering around wondering what it's supposed to be doing. So, what 3 critical actions could you and the members of your team take to increase your revenue? You want something that's sort of easy to do and becomes habit. Your critical action should become habit for all the people inside of your organization. So, what you're going to do is you're going to brainstorm. On a whiteboard or piece of paper, put down all the critical actions that you think could grow the company, could move the company towards its economic objectives. Again, circle the ones that you like the most. If you're with your leadership team or you're in a small group, vote on the ones that you like and keep the ones that are most popular. The only reason I want you to have 3 and only 3 is because people have trouble prioritizing more than 3 things. So we're going to have 3 critical actions. What 3 critical actions could you and nearly every member of your team take every day to grow your bottom line? I want you to take some time and brainstorm those possible critical actions. Unlike key characteristics and the economic objectives in your mission statement, this is actually going to take a minute, and you're going to have to work a little bit to do it, but it is absolutely worth the time. Now that you've created your guiding principles, your entire team knows what the mission is, what sort of characteristics everyone needs to have, and the critical actions that you're going to need to take. Show them at every staff meeting, put it up on the screen, put it on a poster, put it on your wall right above the coffee and water. Show it to every new potential hire, and don't forget to stay at it. Changing the culture can take a little bit of time, but if you keep reminding your team what your 3 economic objectives are, along with your key characteristics and your critical actions, your culture will begin to change, and it will change for the better. Running a small business is hard. but it's a lot harder without direction. When your team knows the mission, embodies the right traits, and takes the right actions, you're no longer managing chaos, you're leading a movement. We help small businesses like yours optimize for revenue and profit. There's a link to my calendar in the description. So if I can help you with any of this, just book in a call with me. Take action today, stay focused, and remember, you got this.